price on it. I'm just going to make something up. It's not enough anyway, I know. But let's say £4,000, right? This is for a whole year, by the way, okay? Quarterly mentoring calls, 15 grand was my price per day. This is real life, guys. I introduced, I don't know if I showed it at the last seminar before. I've got personal students who I showed you videos of that I've personally coached, done a 1-day mentoring session with them for 10 grand to 15 grand, and these guys have gone on to make 300 grand on their first projects, $1 million in sales on their next project. Adil Chowdhury, Chris Cobb, these guys are people you can research right now on your laptops, type in their names. They were mentored by me, right? Chris Cobb, he had a session with me about ClickBank, his first ClickBank launch, 300 grand he did. He had another #1 best-selling ClickBank course. I think he did 300-400K, and now he's fully established in that field, making tons and tons of cash. Adil Chowdhury, he had a ClickBank mentoring session with me. Big guru now, probably a lot of you guys heard his name. I think Mass Control did about $1 million in sales. Philip Mansour, who created Zero Fiction Marketing with me and Bannerad Blueprint with me. Many mentoring sessions with him. He's making around 3.5 million a year right now, just off that business model, and he's doing many other different business models. So my time, it works, guys, because the way I just tell things straight up, you know, I'm not going to beat around the bush like I tried to do yesterday. I was saying to you, this stuff is technical, but this is the shit you need to learn because it works, right? So this is how I teach people. I just give them exactly what works. So I'm not even going to put a price on this. His time is worth probably 10 times more than mine in terms of what he does, right? So if I put a price on it, it's just going to look silly, but, you know, just for argument's sake, I'm just going to put 10 grand, right? Which is worth a lot more than that. Scott Concierge, that thing that with him, no price. I don't want to put a price. Social media package, I can tell you how much it's costing me. It's costing me $5,000 to get all of this done, right? That's my full fan pages, YouTube, everything, and I think that's cheap. For me, it's cheap anyway to get that done. So in terms of all of that, you're looking at about 5, 15, 19, 19 and a half, let's say 20 and a half grand there in terms of value, which is a lot less. So I'm not even going to go and beat around the bush, guys. If you want this and you want to do this right now, and if you want to change your life for good, and if you want to really have a mentoring with 2 mentors who are very successful for a whole year coaching you, you've got the forms there in front of you. You see how much? Okay, cool. You can see how much the price is. It's only 1997. And by the way, and I'm not just saying this, we don't want to take too many people. I think we're going to review the forms, and I think we're going to take about 20 people or maximum 30 people. There's about, I don't know how many there's in the room, but personally I wouldn't want to mentor more than 20 people. It's going to be way too much time for me. So around 20 people is probably what we'd take. So that's the price, guys. There's no hype. There's no big sell here. You know, hopefully it's all apparent to you what we do and what we can do for you. The forms are there. You can just fill them in, and I'll get somebody to collect them in a little while. You can have 5 minutes or so to fill them in. We're going to have a break now, I think. No break? And then Krishant will take the rest. So that's it, guys. Thank you.
There's just one thing, actually. Hanif, can I have some volume here? Just one thing, guys, and Saj doesn't actually know this yet. Scott definitely doesn't know this yet. But what we want to do, we encourage people taking action, okay? At the end of the day, you could come here, you can learn all this stuff. If you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. So I'm going to clear this with Saj later. He doesn't know this yet. I'm going to clear this with Scott later. But the first 10 people to give in their form to the crew are going to get a private VIP dinner just with Scott and Saj. Scott, if he's in town, but definitely with Saj. And effectively what we're going to do, if you've got an opportunity to ask Q&A, do what you like, bring your notepads. It's a funny type of dinner, actually, a dinner with notepads. So you can ask all the questions you want to Saj and Scott if he's in town. And that's just for you guys, just as an added value. Saj's probably going to kill me for saying that, but I wanted to throw it in there because I know you guys are going to have plenty of questions, and I know you want that one time with Saj and Scott, so it's there for you. The first 10 that take action on that. And I'm going to hand back to Scott now so he can continue with his presentation. And after that, basically, we'll have a little break, but let's have a hand for Scott Ruick, please.
Hello again, everybody. Give me 1 second. Okay, everybody kind of feeling what I had some good comments from people in terms of my delivery, so I appreciate that. I got some constructive feedback, so I like that as well. You know, again, I make the mistake oftentimes of throwing too much at people and expecting them to know this. It's something I've, again, studied for quite a while. So I've purposely tried to slow things down and hopefully get people oriented around what I'm saying. Again, if I haven't done a good job of that, email me or pull me aside and ask me specific questions about some of the content. But again, I mean, just to kind of encapsulate what we spoke about, media buying is obviously the lifeblood of any business. We're going to talk about media buying, in terms of your ability to do it well leads to bigger businesses. Do we have someone's sound going off or some video playing? Or? All right, cool. All right, we're good. Okay, so now I want to talk about direct response, right? I mean, I think that being a successful media buyer has very many different elements of it. It's your ability to buy this stuff, okay? So you got to know where to buy it. You got to know how to buy it. You got to know how to talk the language that people are talking in terms of media buying. And then next comes the direct response part. You've got to be able to put together awesome creative that ultimately leads to a click, and those click become visitors, and then you've got to have something to sell. You've got to put together high impact landing pages, high impact creative in order to get a sale going. And so that's the idea with direct response. There are all kinds of other elements down the road that lead beyond direct response, but the point is that media buying and done at a high volume successfully really requires you to be good at a number of different areas. So direct response is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. I'm just enamored with the idea of what creates people to buy. All right, so in terms of direct response, there's really just a few elements that we'll touch on today. It's very simple. You've got 2 points to touch the consumer in general. Now, again, I'm oversimplifying this quite a bit, but you've got creative, and that's what I call how you elicit a customer click. And then you've got landing pages, okay? And Saj talked a lot about landing pages down the road, but really those are the first 2 points of entry that you get to market to the consumer. So creative obviously comes, for those of you that were at the first seminar, in many different sizes. There are small banners, big banners, text ads, video ads, all kinds of things. So you get the chance to market to them in graphical format, like with Facebook, you have a picture and you have some text copy. On the landing page, obviously, you're able to tell a lot more of the story because they're actually on your site. For those of you that want to get additional information on direct response and creative, I think I may have given a site. Mr. Green is a young guy that I follow. He's very, very good at explaining this stuff. Shoe Money is another big guy in the States that does a very, very good job of explaining. And they go into really a lot of detail in terms of the measurement of what creates action. And it turns out with Facebook that 70% of what causes somebody to click ends up being the graphic that's used. So there's all kinds of tips and techniques that you can learn that's actually free. So if you want to look at this stuff, it's pretty simple. Okay, so how did I get enamored with I mean, like the direct marketers, like best dream, right, is 100% click-through, right? That's the goal, right? I can guarantee you I'm very successful at 2% click-through, and that means, again, I'm losing 98 out of 100 people. It's pretty bad odds, right? I mean, like, it's pretty bad, like 98 people telling me no, but 2 do. But there's been certain books along the way that I've kind of gravitated toward. I'm going to add the second one's a good book. But these are books that you can pick up. I have them on my iPad. But if you want to study very, very good direct response techniques, these are 3 books that I would recommend. There's obviously a mountain of literature out there. There are guys like John Carlton, who's a very successful copywriter that will put together high impact, creative and landing pages for you. And again, I encourage you to take advantage of as much free information as you can on this topic. But nonetheless, effective copywriting, the use of direct response is just absolutely critical in terms of your ability to be successful online. So the books in the end bit books are by a guy named Robert Cialdini. He's a very, very in our world a very, very loved guy, but he talks about persuasion. And so again, your job as media buyers is to persuade people to either buy your product or click or convert into a customer of somebody else. So it turns out that persuasion is a very scientifically measured type of response, a human response of why we buy. The book in the middle is just a great book. It's Predictably Irrational. And it's an awesome book as to why people behave irrationally when certain things happen. And I never really, this was the first book that really quantified what we were doing back at NetBlue or Connexus when we were doing high volume. When we were spending $300,000 to $400,000 a day on media, we were doing it primarily around the concept of free. Okay, so we were doing free products we were giving away free products. In return, people were completing CPA offers. So I never understood it. I never understood why people would click through my banners at 10 times the industry standard. But we kept using the word free. We were giving away all kinds of free stuff. And I never really had anyone explain it to me. So Predictably Irrational, a guy named Dan Ariely, who speaks, he's a big keynote guy at all my little tech weird events that I attend. He's a guy that really organizes it for you in a way that's very, very good. So if you want to get better at direct response, if you want to get better at understanding the psychology of why people buy, these are 3 books that are awesome. If you want to, there's all kinds of other free information out there that you want to look at. A guy named John Carlton's a very, very effective copywriter. He's doing some programs now that gives away great content on it. But this is an area you really want to study, because this is, when you look at the conversion piece of things, this is what's going to radically impact conversion. So creative is fairly straightforward. I think that I'm kind of like the media buying. It's like in the media buying industry. There's two parts. There's the ad agencies in New York, and there's guys like me that are direct response marketers. And we always didn't know how the guys in New York doing ad agency business basically kept in business, because they were doing things like brand advertising, which we didn't like. We were all about driving those clicks, driving those creatives on a direct response basis. So, creative, I take a very, very simplistic approach, and maybe it drives some people crazy, but that's okay. I don't really care. Here's what you do, right? Okay, let me show you something. Here's my. Oh, did I do 4? Okay. This is my. I'm going backwards. Okay, yeah. This is a little bit. Okay. This is me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's my secret. Okay, it's very simple. Here's the secret to nailing creative. Okay, creative is the first thing that a consumer sees, right? So when I'm doing a big MSN buy and I get 140 million impressions, what's the first thing that person sees? All right, start with what you already see working. Don't be a hero. Okay, if it's your money you're spending, don't be a hero and think that you're going to come up with some brand new creative that no one's ever heard of. Okay, use what already is working. I make the assumption, I think it's a fairly good assumption, that ad creative that I see routinely and repeatedly works. Otherwise, an advertiser wouldn't be doing it. So I start with what already works. So if I'm in the diet space, my superfood girl back there, I gave you an example of an advertiser who's spending $8K a day with something that works. I'm almost positive it works. So I don't try to recreate the wheel. So if he says the 4